Hello, survivors. I am T. McVenom with Reality Skew Gamers, and you are joining our State of Survival live stream. We do this every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh, and I have it in the background. Maybe one day I'll get a whole intro off without any hitches. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming in. Today is going to be a little bit looser stream than usual. We're going to do our ideas for the game first half, and then we're going to do questions and answers. We want to try to really get some more questions and answers of game style, mechanic, whatever your questions are. We want to start getting those and incorporating them more into our live stream. I do want to keep our panel consistent for you guys as well, so that you guys can get familiar with each of us and really feel like we're a close-knit community and that you can reach out to each of these guys. With that being said, I want to introduce them here. From State 10, we have Scorn with ZDY, Z-Day. From State 42, Daedric. From ARC.
Howdy.
Howdy. Silver Wolf from State 20 with MBK, Natural Born Killers. I think Silver Wolf is still trying to connect his audio, so we'll check back in with him in a bit. But he's down there. He's the wolf. You can't miss him. And then we have Delete from State 125. He's with Law now.
Yeah, big news, big news.
Big news, big news. And I'm also on 125 with Law. So, first off, we want to do a shout out to, if you are in stream watching, please give us your state, do a shout out for us. I'll try to call out some of the ones that have some states in there with your name. We're going to try to start shouting you guys out as viewers more so that we can kind of get a cooperative viewing and panel little relationship going. So, yeah, so shout out your states for us. Also, let's see what else we got here. There we go. Okay, I had to pull it up. So we have, first off, we have, let's see, John Galt from State 10, ZDY. He's one of your guys, Scorn. Polly Gray, State 42, S&M, State 42. And then Sticky Fang, State 11. Shout out to Sticky Fang Gaming. If you guys haven't subscribed, please go check him out and give him a sub. MBK, State 20, King. And then we have Orion and Law, 125. And then we have Durgan, also in our state. If you guys don't know Durgan, he's our mod in there. He's with RSG. Guys, please keep your comments respectful and your questions appropriate. We're all adults here. We're all constructive. We want to have constructive feedback. We have devs watching, which is great. That means we may have that option to make some positive changes in the game, but we can only do that if we're all respectful. Hey, B. Masu, thanks for joining. So before we get going to our ideas, which we're going to talk about, I do want to do our meme of the week. Finn, can you pop that up for us? Okay, so this meme I thought was hilarious. Guys, can you see this?
No.
Oh, let me see if Finn can somehow pop it up somewhere for you. Do you see it yet?
No.
Finn's getting it popped up. But anyway, this meme is from this. Oh yeah, you can look at stream. This meme is from JimBag77, and it says, "Scouting someone with 100 million plus resources after 8+ hours of Capital Clash." And of course, it has Princess Bride's Inigo Montoya. "You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you." I thought that was a perfect meme. I love Princess Bride. So thank you, JimBag777, for that meme. Okay, so next up we have a quick, fun little thing that the devs gave me actually to give out on our stream. And it is a code, a gift code. And we get to release it here on the stream. It hasn't been in game yet, but I think Finn's got it scrolling. Do you have it scrolling up, Finn? It's scrolling now. So that gift code is good for 300 bio caps and I think 2 advanced maps. And I will read it again. I think it is SDS D0509. I think I said that right. Watch me, I had it wrong, and you guys are all rushing for the code. It's wrong. Sounds about right. Yes, SDSD 0509 in game, and that's your bio codes. Okay. So that being said, if you have any questions for later, what we're going to do is talk about our ideas for the game and what we would like to see. And then after we talk about that for a bit, maybe 20, 30 minutes, whatever, where we're at, then we're going to do some live Q&A with all of these guys. This is your chance. If you have any questions about battle mechanics, anything from mundane game issues to advanced, they can answer them if they want to, but they're not obligated if it's strategy. But you can throw those questions out there. And the way I want you to do that is put your question with question in front of it so that my Nightbot can pick up those questions and we make sure we don't miss any, okay? All right, so who wants to go first with their game idea? Daedric, I know you already have one. I can already see the smirk.
Got a few. One of the first ones that came to mind, actually, we were talking last week in the stream about several players in a lot of states hitting the HQ 30 and reaching plasma level. And so one of the things that I'm definitely in the boat, and I know a lot of players in my state and others are in the same position, is we've accumulated quite a few construction speedups at this point, which are no longer usable. So, you know, as an example, we have people ending up with 20,000 plus 5-minute speedups from purchasing plasma packs or just from events, but they can no longer use them because they've maxed out construction. So what I was thinking, compared to other platform games, is if State of Survival released an event, and they'd have to put a limit on it, but you have the ability to trade in your construction speedups and turn them into training or research. And so as an example, you could trade during the event, you could trade a maximum of, let's say, 500 1 hour. Kid in the background.
Hey, little man. Hey, little Thorn. So cute. So cute.
You could trade in speed ups in order to use them on things like research and training, which are infinite to a certain capacity. And I know some people you can eventually max out on tech as well, but the majority of players who've maxed out their construction are still working on, of course, troops and research. So I think it'd be really neat to have an event where you could trade in the unused construction for other speed ups. And additionally, same thing with hero frags as well. So a lot of players have maxed out on hero fragments and have maxed out the hero to general level. So we keep accumulating in our intel searches, we keep accumulating fragments that we can't actually use because the hero's maxed out. So same thing, we have the ability to trade fragments for biocaps or speed ups or something of that nature. It'd be really good for players to use those unused resources.
So playing devil's advocate here, if I am a developer that wants to make money, because obviously this is a game, it needs to make money so that we can all continue to play. What would be the benefit for the developers for that option to happen? Because then obviously people would stop spending money to get certain things. Do you think there's a way that they could compromise to where they would still, get plenty of investment, but we get something like that going?
Yeah, so I'll use an example of what they do in a Muse Mother's Day event. There is a rewards column in the Mother's Day event. You actually have to spend money to unlock that additional rewards column to get rewards per level. So if you wanted to make money, if we're talking about it from that perspective, to still incentivize not just the developers but also the player, is if you have to purchase to unlock that capacity to do the trade. So whether you spend a certain amount all at once in the event or it's an accumulation over time. I think the concern right now is, for someone like me who's purchasing plasma core bundles, I actually don't need the construction speedups. So I'm overspending actually on the bundle because I only need the cores, I don't need the speedups. So we're looking at it from a dual perspective of, the player, we're really only getting half our value out of it. What's a way that we can make it where the resources can actually be used? And I think maybe if they introduced it where yes, you do have to spend to unlock this capacity to trade, but put a limit on the trade. So I'm not, handing in 20,000 speed ups and getting 20,000 back. There's a limit to it. I think there's some incentive there on both sides.
I think I agree with that. So any of these ideas, I do like the idea of us playing for both sides because we do want the game to grow. So I like that you had both sides winning on that situation. You have any other ideas you want to discuss real quick? I know you do.
Yeah, I know. I'll let,
You're like, let's go around the horn.
Well, can I actually get some clarification real quick? I was distracted. Jerk.
He's adorable. He's adorable.
But so when you mentioned the construction speed ups being trading them, is it trading it for other speed ups or transitioning to other speed ups? I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, so trading them for other speed ups. So for example, if let's say you have 20,000 5-minute speed ups, they could put a capacity on it, but you could trade in, let's say, 1,000 of them to get 1,000 back of research or training instead versus having the construction.
Okay, cool.
Like research training, like speed ups for everything, like any kind of speed ups that we use in the game, you would be able to switch them in and out for?
Yeah, but there would be a capacity because, again, for someone like myself or big spenders, you'd be able to go crazy on the trading if you didn't have a capacity in how many you could trade in.
That would be, that would make the events like the survival of the fittest and all the different events a little bit more interesting if you could save this type of speed up for this day coming up. Yeah, that would be interesting. Cool idea. I like it. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
All have ideas. Yes, go. Hi, Silver Wolf. You had some sound issues earlier, so.
Oh, I'm on the road. Actually, I didn't make it home, so I'm sitting on the side of the road in my car. So it was a little
commitment, man. That's some commitment. I love it.
You're in your TV studio like I am. Nice.
Oh, it's my office. What can I say?
Hit us with your idea, man.
Well, I like the speed up idea, to be honest, because that's sort of one that we were talking about as a group. But one that, a couple of people in my alliance and stuff have played other games. And one thing that other games have had is like more specific alliance buildings with a purpose to them. So like, I know they're coming out with these statues now, which are like, who cares about gathering resources really? But, at least they're trying to add some new things. But what other games have done, and I forget which game it is, and I wouldn't say it anyway because it's not by the same company, but they had a really cool feature. And the game itself was terrible, but the feature was awesome for alliance sort of wars and stuff like that. Is what they did was you had an alliance building, and it was like a war building. But what you could do in there is you could actually have formal alliances or formal, declarations of war against other alliances. And it actually impacted what you could do in the game. So if you were a straight up alliance with another, you were allies with them, you could not attack them at all. You couldn't hit their cities. You couldn't hit them on tiles, nothing. As an R5, it was awesome because number one, you don't get 15 emails a day. Why did your person hit me here? And, all that kind of stuff. But what I found that it did, like they had levels to it. So you could be full allies. You could be, sort of like a NAP agreement with somebody, those kind of things. There was parameters to it. And then you could declare war on other alliances. So basically they were free game all the time. And they showed up on your screen in red. So that like they were surrounded in red. So you knew that they were, you were at war with them. It made the strategy within the state that we were in quite a bit better because, you have a couple of big alliances and you want to be allies with them, but you know how people are, right? Somebody does something stupid back. Then you get in a big war and a whole bunch of people you can see their fire from space, So it gave that little bit of extra structure to it. And I found when you're in a really competitive state where there's, several alliances and they're sort of fighting, that it added a really cool element to the game. And you could revoke them, I don't want to be allies with you anymore, and then you burn them, and it was kind of cool. So it's just one that we were talking about as a group. Just something, and that's one example, but like with alliance buildings, like there's so much that they could do with it that would make the game, you know, sort of, they could add things in, you know, like specific alliance things that you could do. And even the idea about speed ups, you know, trading speed ups, like there could be, you know, an alliance building where that's a function of the building, and it might be easier to set it up as opposed to one, you know, a one-off thing where you do it through that building, the parameters are set, you know, people have to be a member of your alliance to get higher, you know, the higher your level of your alliance is, maybe the higher the amount you can do every day or whatever. Like there's so many ways I can go with it, but there's just that idea of so much of this game revolves around the, you know, your alliance, right? So you're a group of people, anything that kind of helps bring that together, you know, throw some, you know, if you want to go practice your combat, have a combat practice building so you're not losing all your troops, right? Stuff like that, just little ideas. So that's kind of what we talked about.
I like that, but how, when in that other game, just a question, in that other game, did two alliances have to match up and say we're both turning red,
Yes.
or we're both turning green
Yes.
to make sure that you're allies?
Yeah, I can't remember if you could declare war on another one without them, but to be allies or anything, yeah, both of them had to agree to it. There was a mechanism in the game that, you know, you sent the request out to them or they sent it to you, and then you could respond to it. So, I mean, the game itself, the game wasn't very good, but the alliance stuff and even the chat stuff was really, really cool. Like you could individually chat with anybody you wanted. So you could have a chat of your alliance and another alliance so that you could join them together into one. So everybody could chat in the game, and it was a really good structure. And I can't remember what game it is. I probably don't even have it anymore, but
Yeah, a lot of games have that where you can have like group chats. You can set a group
Yeah.
chat within the game, which would, you know, we use Discord. All of us use Discord for that, but it would eliminate the need for Discord if you could do a group chat like that, or not eliminate it completely, but you know. Yeah, that's interesting. I would have never thought about that at all, to be honest. I would think that would be a crazy headache to be as an R4 or R5 trying to set all of the rule parameters, but
I found it easier to be, but I mean, a lot of it was automated. Like there wasn't a whole bunch you could do. I mean, there was, you know, like sort of like when you set your parameters for entry into your alliance, you can set how much power and whatever. There was a few little drop down things that you could change if you wanted to, but it wasn't, once it was set, it was fine. And yeah, I found it made it a lot more fun, and it took the oopses out of the game where, well, that's the thing that bugs me about being an R5 is I get all those messages all the time. Like, why did this person hit me? And it's like, I don't know, he felt like it, like, you know, but I get about 20 of them a day. So it's like, you know, just it's a way to, I think, make it more of a alliance central kind of feeling to the game. You know, there's so many things. I mean, there's all kinds of gameplay they could do with it and whatever, but just to kind of put that focus on and kind of make things easier for R5s, because like you say, everybody uses a Discord or Line, or, you know, they use all these outside, you know, things to manage. If they could bring that in somehow, it might help, but it's a big order for sure. Just future for the game, you know.
I do agree about the manage factor. I hate being an R4. I hate it. So much work. It is so much work, and it's just so much easier to play. So I can definitely see it being a burnout issue after you've been playing for a year, and something like that being super beneficial for that reason alone. Anybody else? Comments?
I mean, another aspect I just thought of, an idea I had was Silver was talking about some of the chat features. I also think it's similar to, you know, Kings of Avalon or something. The chatting was much easier, more smooth, and how much more that may help increase and improve community and participation between different ethnic groups. You know, well, these Asians, when you have the Asian players, you have so many different groups which speak different languages, and then they play with Europeans, and it just would be great to.
Yeah, now I do know that they are working constantly on their translator app, because the translator is, I mean, we all know that. I've told the devs that a couple times. I tell one of my favorites that I work with all the time, translators. So I think they do have a team that they're constantly trying to update that. And there's actually an assigned team that's working on it of players, I know, almost constantly trying to update and fix any issues with the translator app. But it gets really frustrating, especially our alliance is a big melting pot. Like we don't have like just one time zone or two time zones. We have it all across the board. And I love it that way. I like to have all different kinds of players, but it does get frustrating with the communication for sure.
Do you guys feel like it's kind of gotten better though, like over time, a little bit better? Because it used to be absolutely terrible.
Okay, I had the same thought not too long ago, but I'm thinking, is it because I'm just getting more familiar with my players, or is it because the translator's getting better? I think it's because I'm getting more familiar with my state and the people that are talking, and I can kind of get what they're saying.
I was talking to Polish or Italians, yeah.
It's probably a little bit of both.
Maybe,
It really
yeah.
is. You know, because I definitely seen that it was better. There were some translations that it's like, wait, what? I don't think that's right. You know, like, you know, so, you know, but I mean, it's probably a tremendous undertaking to kind of get that all squared away.
Yeah. One guy in our alliance was like repeatedly yelling, "You have a donkey on your head. There's a donkey on your head. There's a donkey on your head." And I was like, what are you talking about? It wasn't a donkey on my head. Just saying. It was fun. Okay. Anybody else? Who's got another idea?
I had an idea of just like, you know, something to kind of do in between, you know, because right now you have the Explorer events with your heroes, right? I'm thinking like there should probably be something, or it would be great if there was something almost like a training or like a, you know, like an explorer for your settlement, where it's like, you know, you've got to play the computer in attacking a hive, you know, and it's the computer kind of like, you know, kind of doing the things where you're not actually doing a person first person hive attack, but you are doing it against a computer. So you could either practice on how to attack and how to like manage and play your base, you know, in you know, in a different, a controlled setting. So you're not practicing on someone or like destroying someone's life trying to get it done.
You
know,
mean
so
like
it's
an
supposed
NPC settlement?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, something like that, where it's like, you know, it's like you could, you know, establish different challenges, you know, use it to consume stamina, have to, you know, rebuild that stamina, maybe even, you know, depending on, you know, a different reward structure, but something along those lines to kind of have like a training module or just a different, you know, portion of computer on you kind of basically play gameplay.
That's interesting.
I actually really like that idea, only because I have a person, Durgan, you see him in chat, he's RSG, he doesn't understand the game at all. And not because he's not a good gamer, it's just because he's never played these games before. And so he's like, I don't know who I'm supposed to attack or who I'm not supposed to attack, so I don't want to attack anybody. You know, so that practice element, like you just said, is kind of, you have to just wait for when it happens, when it comes up.
Yeah.
So
it's trial by fire.
Yeah,
so if you
exactly.
like figure out which way to establish your heroes, like this is my A-team heroes. Okay, for my secondary march, this should be this, you know, or I failed the mission because I stacked my hero the wrong way, or, you know, be able to kind of read a recon report and be like, okay, this is what I would use to attack something like that with that recon report, and kind of be able to like fudge your way through the game to be able to kind of get yourself better without having to like completely, you know, start an alliance war.
yeah.
You know, I like that idea. And I think, you know, even if it was expanded a little bit to say include, you know, you could do a 1 versus 1 against somebody in your own alliance where you're not losing troops. It's just training. It's just practice. Because a lot of the times, like, I mean, there's about probably 10 of us in our alliance that we get a ton of questions about how to do this, how to do that, when to do this, where to put your hero, whatever. To be able to show it in the game would be awesome. To be able to say, okay, well, you're going to attack me and you're going to see what happens. And this is why you don't want to solo this particular person or whatever. It would make it a lot more fun, I think, for some of these players that, you know, going out and hitting somebody and feeling like you're trying to learn the game and you end up losing your shirt isn't fun, right? Maybe it's good for the developers from that perspective that, you know, they make some money off it, but at the end of the day, like, it would be a way for, I think, for people to just learn without having to decimate themselves, because that happens a lot, right?
I think it would actually be good for the developers, because people end up downloading this game and then getting a bit confused about it. If you're not used to this kind of game, you get super confused very quickly, and then you're just like, I'll just go play, something a little easier, or I'll download another game. And that's what happened to a few of my friends that played it. If I wasn't there kind of saying, oh, this is easy, let me show you how to do this, and walking them through it, they were just like, this is too much. Like, I can't get into this game. So
that's a fair point. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think the devs would actually benefit from this, because you'd have more people actually staying interested in it.
Well, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Good idea. All right, Scorn, do you want to go next?
Sure. I mean, I don't have any cool big game additions to it. I mean, some of them are pretty cool, but probably not feasible, so I didn't talk about it. But yeah, so I mean, when it came to different, let's start with like the concept of improvements. Two big things I was thinking about was, the game isn't focused on Chiefs players as much as it is Alliance. It's Alliance oriented, not person oriented. And so how do we improve the Alliance and how it functions? And so one thing was helping different things they could do to potentially help the overall leadership processes, what they manage that. So let's say Reservoir, it doesn't show who has registered for which times during the registration or right after registration. And so if you don't record that beforehand, which takes time, it sucks. You're wasting a lot of your own time. And so be able to give that capability to leadership, showdown, management of lanes, that can be difficult too sometimes. Give the option to where, especially if a player is okay with it, even gives consent, an option in the game for their march in the lane to be moved around by leadership even, so they can better organize that instead of having to spam personal messages and things like that. Just how do we save them time, because they help to manage and run their alliance, and the game is oriented around alliances. Don't have alliances, you don't have the game. And so that was just a big thing for me when it came to improvement. And also, and Silverwolf pretty much hit on that for the most part already. I jumped off of a little bit, the improved communication. Like, man, how do we get a lot of these other, we have these little portraits that one of our friends who's in digital marketing makes for us for ZUI, and I have some Spanish players who wants it. It's hard. It took them a while to communicate that, and then they can't talk to us too much in Discord, even with the translator. It's hard for them to understand how to use that, and just being able to improve that capability. Not even the translator, that works well enough for me. Just the capabilities to create groups and stuff for chatting instead of like, oh cool, I got an alliance chat, which goes up pretty quickly, or PMs, which are annoying and take forever to open. So I don't know. Those are two big things that have for improvements.
I really like the RR thing. we're still trying to figure out our reservoir raid management. So I think they could improve that, because that's one of my favorite events so far. So I think they could really improve the management style of that event a little bit more. Yeah, I like it.
In the most organized alliances, the ones that, the bigger ones, the ones that kind of put the time and stuff in, there's a lot of work that goes in. Even for us, like we have one of my R5s does a tracking sheet, and I don't do that for my employees, man. Like it's wicked, right? And it helps because if everybody does a little bit of it, and keeps it updated, it's really good. But it is a lot of work. Like I do wish there was something simple to do, tracking over time. And I've seen that in other games where you can, you kind of get a snapshot of who's registered for throwdown and who hasn't in your alliance, and have, and sort of a running total over time. If there was a way to track things a bit better, like participation, because it gives you, and a lot of my time as an R5 is spent on communication. So it's, PMs talking to people individually, somebody saying, oh, I'm home, sick or whatever with this virus. So, I won't be playing or whatever, there's all that. If they can improve, like he said about, the way the game you can manage the communication, it would really help, because then you have less of those one-offs where you're having to answer, 50 PMs a day.
Oh.
Yeah. Just those little things, like they matter in these games. All these ideas are they're not huge. They're probably huge coding issues and all that kind of stuff, but they're not really big gameplay kind of things, but they're the little nuts and bolts that just make the experience better. And that's why I like all these ideas. Like, all the ideas today are awesome. Just make it better, make it more engaging, because the people that stick around long term and spend money are engaged. They're 100% in the game. So if you can make their life easier, it's just going to make them want to play longer. That's how I feel about it. So it's a win-win.
Agreed.
You already kind of hit on it a little bit, Wolf. So have you lost any R4s who just left the game from burnout?
Yeah, we've lost a few over time.
Sure.
We rotate them out too. Like, we have a few that, they get a little burnt out. So they want to step down, or they want to take some time away from the game. And we have enough quality people in our alliance that there's always somebody willing to step up and help, which is, we're very fortunate that way. But people do, like, even me, like, there's times where I go, oh, I don't even want to log into this game today because I know what's coming. I see online or on Discord that, somebody attacks somebody. I'm like, oh, I just know what my mailbox is going to look like right now.
So real quick, I have a couple things to address. Number one, we got some trolls hating on you guys in the chat, which I'm fine with. We don't mind a little hate. Just
all right.
They're all state 20, aren't they?
Maybe. Is it your fault there, Silver Wolf?
It's probably my alliance.
Somebody's just like, this is a chat for noobs. Okay. You must be hating. My hat is actually RSG hat, Reality Skew Gamers. This is some of our merch. If you're interested and you like it, you can always go there to our Discord or to our website and check it out. Somebody asked if they could get a glass of your sweet wine there, Scorn. Pass them a glass.
Sure.
He has none left.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Already out? Really?
No, I got more upstairs.
So I just thought of an idea that I wish I'd have thought of earlier and could have explored more. But when you were talking about alliance management, the way we do it, because burnout for me in a game is so big when it comes to leadership. That's why I hate being in leadership. It's just, I quickly get bored and tired of putting out fires all the time. You don't get to enjoy the game. So we devoted, and you guys probably are far ahead of us and already doing this, but we devoted time to, like, everybody has a task that they take care of. Like, somebody is in charge of RR. They have a team for RR. We have R4s for this. We have R4s for, reward distribution, just kind of divvied up. I think like having badges or something where we could signify who's who in the game and who, like, I don't know, just kind of like,
I love that. I love that idea. Absolutely. As part of sort of what some of the other ideas were, of that other game I played that I was talking about, they actually did have that. You could designate, your R4s or it could be anybody in your alliance actually, and you could designate them as in charge of certain things. And it was a small thing, but it was, then everybody knows who to flood the PMs to, right? Instead of just me.
Yeah, you could even actually have a section in the Alliance tab that has badges, and you click on it and it shows you who you're supposed to contact for recruiting, who you're supposed to contact for this. But it has it, and their badges on either their name, beside their name, or their icon. But then also in the Alliance tab, there's like the list of the badges and who they are.
I love that.
Or what. I think that would just make it a lot easier because, everybody they get familiar with one person. They always want to go to that one person over and over again. So you get 50 mail over things that you don't want to have anything to do with. I've already delegated somebody to do that. I think that would be a cool feature. I think I was thinking about it over something you said, Silver. So
I think it would have to be customizable though. I think you'd have to be able to customize what it was, and then it would be really good.
I would even volunteer, like, almost like a governor credit for people that hold those positions, because if you're going to be taking that much, that much responsibility, I guess the reward is being in that position anyway, but it would be a nice kicker to be able to give them something for picking up the extra slack for an alliance.
I agree.
Addie said something similar to that in the chat. She said, that maybe the designated badges also provide a small buff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Great
that's
idea.
not significant, substantial, but still something that's a little bit nice. I don't know.
Makes it worth the time that you're putting in instead of just always dealing with hassle stuff. You're actually, getting a reward
It's
for it.
win-win, because without those people, alliances, won't continue, and they're such a vital part of the game, and that's why people kind of fall apart when they're like, oh, this is torture. I'm just not going to log in today. And then those days add up, and it just, next thing you know, you've got a dead part of your alliance, so the more people you can keep playing the game, the more fun the game will be.
Yeah. It's a fine line between, leadership being fun and leadership being work. And a little bit of work's okay. The committed players don't mind doing it, but that's a great idea. If you give them some kind of, even the recognition of it, even the recognition, like this person is the go-to, I know in our alliance, we split it up very similar. Everybody has a job that they do. But to be able to formalize that through the game would be unreal. I love that idea.
Yeah, I think that's a big concept, and it's been a discussion in our state, especially. My philosophy is no leader and no player in general should have to log into the game and be stressed about the work in their alliance. So, I think all of us in here, and even the people in the chat who are in a leadership capacity, there's always going to be conflict resolution. Like, conflict resolution is a part of our job, and we're responsible for fielding questions and concerns. However, that doesn't mean our job itself needs to be stressful. Conflict resolution is its own thing. But if we have those tools at our disposal to make the job easier, there's actually more of an incentive for the leaders to put more effort into the game because they have less stress. And that actually incentivizes, because I know, Venom, you always point out as a devil's advocate, where's the money factor? That actually pushes people to spend money in the game. If they're feeling less stress and going, hey, like I love logging in and being able to help my alliance and do this and that. Let's take state versus state coming up. Your alliance is more likely to spend more cash in the game if they want to get in there and have a stress-free time playing, right? So two things that tie into that when we're talking about alliance management structure. Number one is alliance tech and donations. So one of the situations my alliance has run into, and I know a lot of the earlier states, is you're actually starting to max out your tech. So you have no ability now to donate, which means you're not getting alliance credit and you're not getting individual credit. The only way you get that is through things like Trap and Plague Zone. One of the ideas I had is if the developers could release a function where a player has a daily number of donations where they just get alliance credit for the fact of donating to that pot. So it's a function where you can literally trade in, like you would donating to an alliance research function. You can trade in resources or biocaps to get both alliance credit and individual credit to have the capacity to buy advanced relocators, alliance store items, things like that. Right now, we're struggling even stocking the store. So, somebody says, hey, can you put an advanced relocator in? I'm sorry, we don't have any alliance credit right now. So that person now cannot teleport because they don't have the ability to purchase the proper item from the store.
Wait, you guys are maxed out on research, so then you don't have any alliance funds.
Yes, we're doing the same.
Oh my God!
Wow,
We're trying to decide how
That would totally suck, man.
Yeah,
I didn't know that
pretty
happened.
Close.
Yeah. So
we still get one every week. We can do one because we've done it, a lot of them, and now like we're still researching some, right? So when some of them end up finishing researching, it does open up the occasional one. But it's like, even with this, like I told everybody before this event started, like just don't donate right now. Like just wait, because you're going to need it for this Mother's Day event. That one of the tabs is going to have donations on it, right? So just wait. You think they did? It was done in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
The curse of having people that want to donate, right? But they could expand the research, which would be one way to also do it.
Yeah.
Add more research on, or like even my idea about alliance buildings, like that's where you could have something separate that maybe it's not tech they're donating to, but the donation function is the same in terms of getting them the points that they can use in that particular store, right?
Yeah, I always thought that's what happened, that once you reached your max, that you'd still be able to get those alliance.
Nope.
That's crazy to me that you can't get those funds back.
That's why I still have one advanced relocator. I'm living on that one. I never go anywhere.
One of the texts that they could introduce is, so right now the game is a function for being able to have an increased march speed for player versus infected. If you had a research function for player versus player.
Yeah.
So as an example, if you look at your research tiers 1 to 10, each tier doesn't have the same research tech in that tier. So for example, 3, 6, and 9 have troop health, defense, and lethality. So if you were to add in as an example, player versus player march speed, let's say at research 10, that's the only tier that you can research it at, it increases your player versus player capacity by, let's say, 0.5%. That's still a significant increase as an alliance for player versus player battles, because one of the challenges we have is when you're hitting a hive or battle, let's say at Capitol, the march to the Capitol building, even from, on the screen a foot away, is 5 minutes long. So if you can reduce the amount of time it takes, tech like that is super important. If you go into the profile picture in your player menu in the game, there's actually an achievements box in the bottom corner. If you click that, it says under development. It said that since the game is open. Now, one of the things I've seen in other games, and I know a lot of people have been questioning about it, is actually opening that up and getting that development completed on the achievements. And that's a huge incentive. That's a incentive for people to spend money in the game. If you say, hey, if you hit HQ 30 or let's say Plasma 3, you get this grouping of rewards. Well, that's going to promote the player to spend more money to get to Plasma 3, to get to HQ 30, go, holy crap, I get 10 advanced relocators for hitting this achievement. There's another game I play, I don't want to mention it in the live stream, but they do have an achievements menu, and there's 5 different categories. So one is war, one is economy, one is research and development, and there's a list of achievements under each of those categories, and you have to hit that requirement to get the achievement. And if you hit a certain number of achievements in that category, you get additional rewards. So it's a huge incentive for the player, but you can make it really interesting in terms of not only what the rewards are, but you're pushing the player to log in every day and play the game because you can hit all these different milestones.
A couple of the other games that I've played, the most successful ones had that type of alliance goal. Like it wasn't just donation, meet your donation requirements. You actually had a collective goal within the alliance that you got rewards for if you met those. Everybody hit a rally once a day. Everybody did this once a day. Everybody did this. Then it contributes a point within your alliance tab that you can hit a goal for an extra reward or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, actually.
So
that would be unreal in between events and stuff. And I mean, there's not a lot of time in between events now, but just to be able to have a little bit of that sort of that in-house stuff that you can do, and then they would have to add on to that to say that the R5s and R4s could use those points to stock items, say in the tech store, or have a different tech store that has the same stuff or whatever, however they do it. Because that is a huge bottleneck in the game. And if any way that they can sort of break through that, whether it's adding new research or, these other methods, like it does promote people to keep spending, like really to keep growing. And because once you hit HQ 30 right now, and then the plasma on top of it, I mean, a lot of people, I've noticed spending of a lot of people's gone down in our alliance. The select few that are spending a ton are still spending a ton, but they're those middle players, there's less stuff that they don't want to spend the $3,000 that it's going to take to go and get the plasma stuff or whatever. Like they're not that level of spender, but they're consistent. So if there's ways where you can get people to have alliance goals that are specific to your alliance and give the alliance rewards. There should be rewards for building strong and powerful and active alliances in this game. There should be more rewards than there are. And some of those should be combat. We should have faster march times. We should have, bonuses to defense on, or whatever. Like we should have those things as part of a structure inside an alliance. That's a reason for people to want to continue building an alliance too, right?
I think Silverwolf, I think that's huge. And this is to everyone in the panel. I think the game itself, and this even applies to the brand new states that have just come out even in the past month or so, the game itself needs to take a shift away from economy into war. the game in a lot of capacity, and I'm not talking about stuff you buy, I'm just talking about gameplay, is focused too much on farming and too much on economy in general. Not that that's a bad thing, because you obviously need that to grow and to sustain an alliance and sustain resource output and capacity, but the ability to actually wage war, which is the intention of the game, is not Farmville. The intention of the game is battling. You're battling for buildings, you're battling for capital, you're creating alliances, you're having wars with other hives. So, where's the incentive from a war standpoint? And so more focus on, Battle Bundle. That Battle Bundle that comes out is probably the most popular pack I see promotion-wise when it comes out. People max that out every single week, because it's literally one of the most important packs that you can buy, because it applies to anything you do related to war.
Yeah, that's an auto purchase, for anyone that really kind of wants to kind of get ahead in the game, because most of the stuff in there you can't get anywhere else. It's a crucial piece.
So I saw somebody in chat mention, I'm trying to find where they had mentioned it, but they had said something about, I don't know why, you're just wasting your breath. None of this, the devs won't listen to any of this stuff. I strongly disagree. They do listen, and they do want constructive feedback, and they want game ideas. I've talked to several of them. They're great. They're great people. I mean, yes, there's some problems with the game, and I think they're trying to work on it, and they want to make it a better game for you guys. And the one way that we can do to try to do that is to talk about these things, these ideas that we want to see in the game. This is the best way to get it done. So come with your ideas here. This is a really good spot to do it. I promise you, they're listening. They might not be able to implement all of them, but even if they take one of them or an aspect of one of them, it's still better than what we had yesterday. So let's keep pushing forward and looking forward to what we can do, not fuss about what we can't do.
I think an important piece of that too is to come at it from a respectful angle. Like if you listen to this conversation, there's going to be people watching it that are going to go, "Oh, this is brutal," but everybody here is respectful of everybody else's ideas and respectful to the devs, looking at it from their perspective of they're still in it to make money, right? So any idea you have has to consider their side of it. And I mean, I like this format. I think this is free ideas for the devs, and they do listen. I mean, you're telling us you talk to them. I don't talk to them, but it's how you approach it too. If you're spamming them all the time, why don't you fix this? Why aren't you doing that? This is terrible. That doesn't get you an answer that you want.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't get you a seat at the table, right?
Well, think about being an alliance leader and you log into the game and it's just like, blah, blah, blah. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? This sucks. I hate this alliance. I mean, it's just like nonstop negativity coming at you. You just don't want to listen.
Yeah.
So if you have some constructive feedback from it, then you get their respect. Then you can start approaching some of the problems. Like, let's just take our time and get to know the game a little more with you guys and build a community, and let's go from there. I have another idea. This was my main idea. The other one was just a filler. But my main idea is having a jump pass. I want a jump pass to like a play sandbox server. So if they had a state that was like a sandbox state where you could just like pay a certain amount, jump to that and say, I want Daedric to hit me because I want to see what his stats look like. I just want to see what he's working with because I'm seeing all this stuff and, I want to know what he's working with. Or I want to see if I could, survive one of those hits, like you could actually arrange times and meet your friends there. It would be for a limited amount of time. Like they give you a jump pass for a certain amount of time. You can actually go there and practice too without having like state politics interfering. It's like a state v state, but without the pressure of having to win. You're just going there for practice, for fun. I want to play with these three guys and just hit each other. You would have that ability in a sandbox mode. A lot of games that I've played in, they do have like a server, a test server, so to speak, or it could be a test state or a play state, or I don't even know what they would do. Or even having a jump pass into another person's state, but that would be that might be pushing it as far as like interfering, but they could make money off of it by charging a certain amount for this jump pass. I know I would pay for it just to kind of jump into a sandbox and try some things that I might not be able to do in my state. So that's my idea.
I'd definitely be cool with you paying for it too. Yeah.
You can pay for it for us. We'll go.
I mean, it wouldn't have to be that much, or it could be something they earn. I mean, oh my gosh, could you imagine like how much people would try? I mean, they'd probably spend money trying for, if it was a reward for survival of the fittest reward or one of the extra rewards for something. I mean,
you know what? I think one of the biggest weaknesses with the state model in these games, I mean, obviously they have to do it that way for a lot of reasons, right? But one of the weaknesses of it is, as a game community, it's really hard to connect, right? It's hard to, I knew who these guys were, prior to doing this, but knowing them a little bit, knowing how they play. I mean, I went to State 10 and started a new account yesterday and messaged Scorn and told him that, I wanted to see what was going on in his state. So it's like, that piece of it, if there's any way they can bridge that so that you can interact with other states in a way that isn't always just about, state versus state or reservoir where your only focus is to win, right? If there was a way they could build the community of the game, that's what Xbox games and PlayStation games have that these kind of games don't have yet, right? So I like that idea where you can go somewhere else and kind of fiddle around. It doesn't impact the playability of the game. It doesn't impact the ability to make money for the devs to do something like that. I mean, there's obviously going to be some capacity issues with trying to set something like that up, but overall, it would build the community of the game. So you're getting more cross-section of states interacting. And that can't be a bad thing for the game long-term, I don't think.
I don't either. I tried to look at it from a point of view, like, how could this be a bad thing? Or like, what kind of problems? Anytime I have an idea, I'm like, what kind of problems would this cause? And I could see it if it would be a lot of programming issues, but if they're already doing state v state, that capability is already there. It would just be creating another like play state, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a programmer, but I'm hoping that it wouldn't be a lot more to do. So
just think of like Reservoir without the landscape and objectives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't lose your troops long run, things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's feasible, I presume.
I would attack Daedric in a second. I'd be all over that guy, man.
Would you really? Would you attack him or let him attack you?
Oh yeah, I'd wipe out all my troops hitting him. I wouldn't care.
I'll tell my troops too. Like, you can't kill him, I kill him.
That's like
then I'd hit you for hitting him.
Tyson right there. That's like, hey, Mike Tyson, can you just hit me with a left hook really quick so I can just tell my friends you did it?
I just got killed by Daedric. Yeah, so cool.
I'm gonna get this report framed.
Okay.
I would.
I would too. I would. I'd stick it right back there. Okay. Any other ideas?
I think to provide some context, this is more to the viewers, and obviously when you put this up on the channel officially, is when you were just mentioning in chat where people are going, this is pointless, and devs aren't going to listen, or just general negativity. I think it's important for all players in the viewership to realize, and I say this to the alliance I'm in, is don't ever approach a problem without a solution. If you come to the table and you have a problem and it's just a problem, you're not helping yourself, you're not helping the game, you're not helping anyone. If you come to the table with a problem, and you can still have, some negative respect to it, because sometimes that's just how people are, but you have a solution, you have ideas, and you have, you're presenting a way to get past it, that makes the conversation a lot easier. And that applies to alliance matters and conflict resolution, but especially to streams like this and the developers, when they're watching this and hearing what we have to say, is we have to look at it from both sides, is how can they make money, and at the same time, how is that incentivizing us as players and making the game that much better? I just want to provide that context for the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you on that. Come with a solution if you have a problem, or if you have something you're going to gripe about, tell us how you would fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Well, I think We can go on to question time. We were going to do the first half discussion and the second half questions. We're getting a little bit better. Not really. We're still going over all of our times, but we really want to get to the point where we can do questions and answers for you guys, because this is a wealth of knowledge right here on the screen, myself excluded. But these guys are really good at the game and they know a lot about it. So if you have questions, we want you to bring it. I think our next stream is going to be a full Q&A. We're going to try to do a full Q&A on battle mechanics and strategy and just gameplay in general. So definitely come and watch that one. We're going to have some guests, and then we'll, just do full questions and answers. So come with your questions already, but we'll go ahead and get to some questions and answers now. And you guys, if you want to take a question, just shout it out. That's fine. Wow, we have a lot of questions, so I'll try to get to as many as I can. Let's see here. Where do we start? Okay, John Gout, question. What states can confirm having state warfare showing for their game now?
We don't.
And your state?
10 does.
10 has it. Daedric?
Nope.
Nope, not yet. Silver Wolf, yours is 20, right?
Yeah,
20?
we don't. We don't have it.
Really? So is it only 1 through 10 then?
I'm not sure.
I was told someone from state 111 for whatever reason had it.
What?
Yeah.
You know what, though? I'm actually wondering about that, because I read something, and I forget what it was, that they were doing some kind of adjustment to the schedule for certain dates.
Right.
And I forget what it was now, but I'm assuming that that's probably, it has to do with that. That's why some higher level ones would get it and some lower wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming. It's something like that, rather than just randomly picking or whatever. I would have liked to have it first, but now we get Scorn as a guinea pig. He can.
So Scorn, it says beta though on your screen. Hey, when it comes up.
Yes, it does.
It does, yes.
So I think maybe that partially is an answer to the question, Nick Venom, is it's a beta for Scorn State and a few others. So they might have actually done a random selection. Just to test out the first bit, because they said it was being released in May. So I'm wondering if the full event itself is being released mid-May, late May, and Scorn and a few other states are getting the beta version so people can provide feedback on glitches.
It would be good to know that, for the devs to just confirm how they, what the reasoning is behind that.
Just to give us that, who they're picking, why, what's
I don't know. I think it's a little outrageous to ask that they communicate something like that with us.
Really? No.
You don't think they will?
I was like, dang, Scorn? What's going on, man?
You're drinking too much wine, buddy.
Yeah,
He'll do it.
Gordon wants his own gift code.
You know what's funny is that he looked just like his son when he was one. Okay, so where are we at now? Who did I question? Okay, so that was John Galt's question. Paul King, why the capacity? I don't understand what that question was in reference to.
For which idea?
I'm not really sure. It was around the 811 mark, so I'm not really sure what that was.
Oh, I'm wondering.
It might have been Daedric talking about the capacity for the trading, the speed ups.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, I think, the capacity. You don't want people to abuse it.
So, to answer that question, exactly what Scorn said, it prevents people from abusing the system. So if I've got 40,000 speed ups, I don't have the ability to trade in 40,000 speed ups. Having a capacity is still an incentive for the player, but it doesn't make it just completely overpowered.
Yeah. All right. Paul King had another question. Is this a Canadian game? Why so many Canadians? We do have a lot of Canadians.
Because we rule.
We do rule.
Who's Canadian here?
Silverwolf, Daedric. Yeah, there's a lot of Canadians. I was telling Daedric the other day, I didn't notice any other game there wasn't as many Canadians in it as this game has.
Well, I'll see you guys later then. He has all the weapons in the background.
Oh my gosh, and he showed us some of his weapons. They're absolutely ridiculously awesome.
Yeah, check you out. That's
Yeah.
nice.
We'll do it on a fun stream night where we don't really have a whole lot to talk about. We'll just go through Daedric's weapons. How about that?
Yeah.
I'll show you guys my gun collections. We're allowed to use glue guns up here. That's what we got. Glue guns.
The only thing I have
Hey,
is Magic
Daedric.
the Gathering cards. That's about it. Okay. Paul King. No, it's Shizzy Grizzly. Question: why do most of your states still in-state fight, especially on the heels of state versus state? Because we're human and Daedric's around.
Because we're evil? I don't know.
Really? Answer the question. Somebody answer it for us.
I know we fight because we have an enemy to fight, really. I mean, we still have another set of alliances that we don't get along with. So that's, you know, and I mean, we fight others too, but they're the only ones really, you know, so there's still a reason to fight because we don't know what they're going to do in state versus state. If we get up against, they're Russians, and if we get up against a Russian state, we have no idea what they're going to do. They tell us that. They tell us straight out, like, if we get Russians, all bets are off. Like, they're totally honest about it. So there's that dynamic too, that we don't want them to be too powerful when state versus state comes because we don't know what they're going to do. So
I
that's
think
my
it's
take on it.
nature, though. It's just you downloaded a war game because you like to fight. So I think that kind of plays into the nature of it, even though we try to think all idealistically, just like in, I don't want to get too deep in here, but just like in the world we live in, we all think we want to be good and peaceful people, but obviously our world is not that way. Our inner natures is for turmoil and stuff. I think it's the same way in a game. You just want to fight. It's more fun. Edgar Q just donated $2. Shout out to Silver Wolf.
You want to play the game.
What? Delete? Oh, I don't know what. It's shout out to Silver Wolf, MBK, S20, Creep It Real TM. Did he mean keep it real?
Oh, it's Creep. Yeah, it's
Creep It Real.
One of my guys.
Oh, thank you, Creep, so much.
He was pushing this hard, by the way. He was telling everybody they had to watch in our state. So
that's awesome. Thank you guys for pushing it out there. The bigger it is, the more we get more influence with the devs. So let's get it out. Next question was John Galt. Why in the world isn't the in-game chat sensor tweaked so it doesn't break normal words like participation?
True.
Or broken.
That's a very, very, very hard one to do when you're trying to do filters. Like it really, you can't really fault them because when you're trying to put in filters in a reasonably aggressive way, which they have, you're going to get that. There are ways around it, and I think they should work on it. But it is annoying when you're trying to type your, you know, a common word and half of it's gone, or you know, it is.
Yeah, like hits is filtered out too.
It is
oddly enough, like my name in game, and you all know my name in game, not filtered out. I don't know why. And it should be. Delete just did a virtual mic drop. What was up with that, Delete?
Oh no, it was just it's very easy to report like something that's bad in this game. So, you know, the censor is really restrictive. But it's like, you know, I don't know, with that in it, it should probably be a little bit less dramatic, you know, because there are a lot of common words that are just like, what, dude, what? Mm-hmm. I had an argument with a guy that was like trying to sell me something really simple. And I was just like, I can't read half of what you're saying. I was like, I have no idea what you're trying to say. I don't know if you're cursing at me or just saying hello.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Okay, this question is for Steen Marabosen. How much work do you guys make your R4s do? S20 MBK King.
He's mine. King, buddy. I don't make you do nearly enough work, and you're going to do more now, buddy.
Perfect answer.
I like it. I like that answer. Let's see. Sticky Fang Gaming. What is your go-to troop formation? Ooh, getting technical.
Oh.
I want to hear Daedric answer this one.
For PvP, it would have to be the Miho Ash and Zoe combination. as it pertains to heroes. And in terms of troops, I always equalize my march. Generally, when you hit a march capacity of 150K or higher, you put the additional troops in your march further towards infantry, because infantry soak up the damage and allow your riders and your hunters to be more effective against troops as it pertains to their lethality effect.
So do you do, because this is what I do, and I'll be full disclosure on this stream because I'm learning and I don't know everything, but I do 40, 30, 30. Is that a good ratio with your infantry?
It's not bad. And if someone can contradict me, please do so. We've tested it with equivalent counts, equivalent on like chief talents, research, troops, gear. And the only ratio that always wins is always equal ratio. Third, yeah, all equal. Almost always. If you go too big or too high, if you go too much on, like, let's say infantry, you're trying to defend, you still get dominated with towers and CC. And we tested this over and over with multiple times with counts that are all equivalent on all the stats. And we can, even when it comes to heroes, there's usually not a big difference with varying your heroes other than having the best of the best, the top three, Mio in them, other than Wolf sometimes because he provides the extra damage with the lethality. But those are all my issues. Like, make it more dynamic. Like, everybody the same ratios all the time.
Yeah, because see, that's funny because when we did testing, when I was first in, I like to test a lot too. And I was doing testing with rallies, and I noticed that the people that didn't put a little more infantry in were losing more of their back line because, you know, the turn order, the back line. And when I started putting more infantry in, I felt like I did better, but maybe that was.
We had tested with T10s, so
mine were probably around T5s or T6.
Yeah, T10s and T9s is what we played with. Like, oh, if we had some of these T9s, I can go through them. And for sure, would that make a difference in these different ratios and stuff? So that could be it.
Interesting. We don't have Miho yet, Daedric. We don't have any of the new.
Well, the cool part is, and so I'll to still answer Sticky Fang's question, but in a broader sense, and I mentioned this to people, when you're doing PvP, it's very important that when you're reviewing your heroes, you'll notice that they each have, the legendary heroes at least have 3 skills: Siege, Patrol, and Rally. You have to make sure that you're reviewing that skill set for each of the heroes, because each of them provides a different debuff, whether it be settlement troop attack, troop defense, health, or lethality. But when you're doing a PvP march, the order does matter, because the skill that's used for the hero is also dependent on the order the heroes are in the march. So when you have a 3 hero march, the stats will still apply, but your lead hero, that's the skill that actually ends up getting used in your march or your rally. So the order does matter, but it's also important to note that if you're doing PvP and you're doing a rally against a player, the rally skill is going to apply more in that buff than the siege, even though siege still applies in a PvP sense. So I think it's really important that Scorn mentioned that they did a lot of testing. I highly encourage alliances to do what Scorn's alliance has done and do a lot of testing with your heroes to see what the best march is for you, but to also kind of see how your specific stats and benefits work out as an individual.
Love it. Okay. Next question was, Rusty, what in y'all's opinions are the best heroes or best hero setups? I think we already kind of went over that. And to be honest, I would like you guys, I'm encouraging you guys to use those questions for next stream, because we're actually going to do a full stream of those types of questions, more gameplay questions. We've got a lot I'm trying to get through the night, but do you guys want to quickly say who your favorite heroes are right now?
No.
I think it probably only applies to me, because it seems like the top 3 at their level are pretty much exactly the same across the board. You know, but like for our state, you know, it's basically Jeb was the brand new character. So Jeb right now is my strongest hero, and then I will go ahead and kind of put in there like I'll finish it out with Maddie, or depending on what I'm doing, it'll be Wolf or Ray and Rolex. Typically, I go to my default Ray and Rolex if I'm leading a march, but if I'm doing just pure attack, it'll probably be Wolf. You know, because Ray and Rolex is probably better at home if I'm about to get attacked than Wolf would be staying at home.
Anybody
Yeah,
got anything to add
I'd
to
say
that?
Wolf's for me, just because he's the only one who hasn't been completely outdated by the newer legendaries. Like, oh, you still have a role to play sometimes.
Nice.
I didn't waste my time with you.
Yeah. Wolf is who I'm working on right now. I think he's awesome. All right, let me get some notes. We got a lot of questions. Let me get through some of these real quick. Shizzy, Grizzly, why do most of your states still in-state fight? Well, we already had that question. Pedro Antonio Martin Lopez, what do you do when you have 9.5 billion alley in trap with 50 players? Impossible to have everybody to get in. It loses interest. What do you think? Peter R4. Oh, it's Peter. He's my R4 in law. So yeah, Peter's really upset about the trap. He's
Oh,
really
I thought you were
upset
talking
about the
crap
new
on
trap.
us, like 9.5 billion. Like, how do you guys deal with that? I was like, oh, well, you're a jerk. Tell me about it. I didn't know. You're one of my members? I'm sorry.
What do you guys think about the trap? I think we're trying to give it a chance before we get leveled up. I'm hoping that wild or insane level will be harder, but right now it's super easy and it's frustrating. I have to limit everybody how many troops they can send in.
It's easy pretty high too. Like we just did our first one after they changed it, and I think we were 22 or 23, and we had struggled to get past it. You know, we have traps at different times, so it depends on who's on, but we breezed through it so fast. I mean, I was the first guy rallying, and I ended up getting my second rally basically killed it. So
What level?
I think it was 22 or 23. I can't remember. So, I mean, it is a lot easier than it was. It took us like 10 minutes and it was done. So I hope they somehow tweak it, or because it is, I mean, people do get, even in our alliance, some were pretty upset that they didn't get in a rally, or they didn't get a chance to hit it or whatever. It's like, it's gone from one extreme to the other. Somewhere in the middle of that would have been better, where it's still a challenge, but not so challenging that you have to have a perfect storm in order to kill it, right? So
I agree. Or either left the really hard, like the harder levels hard, like what they're supposed to be, and then just tweak the other ones, the middle ground, so that you're letting those smaller alliances get the mechanics and be able to be them. But I feel like it was too much. But again, we haven't gotten to that higher level, so I can't say for sure, but based off of you guys, it sounds like it's still going to be way too much. I don't know. I saw Sticky in there saying that he likes it.
Yeah, right now, same here, because that saves me money. Like, I'm not going to pay $6,000, we talked about earlier, to go from, epic tier 3 to legendary tier 3. Like, that's my cutoff point. So trap, I got to become friends with it religiously. I'm now waking up at 9. Oh, I'm already up by then, but I'm now like focused non-trap at 9 every morning now, because gotta get them items for it. So the higher up we get, the more you get, the larger the reward. So it's just kind of make this easy as you want, because this is already boring. Whether it's easy or hard, I don't like the trap. It's boring. With these items.
Yeah, same. I hate the trap.
Like, it was like, oh, cool. We're trying to get
What's
rallies.
wrong with me? I still kind of like the trap. It's just because I'm in the new state, new player.
Give it time.
I'll probably grow hating it. Okay. Something to look forward to then.
It's a great place to just completely yell at just about everybody in your alliance for not listening to the simple rules that you try and lay out. So that's always awesome.
You got to kick them.
Oh, no infantry. Why are you still putting infantry in?
Yeah. Okay. So Sticky Pain Game, and do you all know what states are in this for us? I think we already went through that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Let me refresh this. I saw somebody say, "How old are you guys?" Rude.
Why does that matter?
I think I'm the oldest in here, honestly.
Well,
I really do.
like old enough that we all have credit cards.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
I'm like closer to retirement than half of these kids' parents are, probably. I don't mind telling you my age. I'm 41. So
You're not.
31.
You're not.
Don't look at it all. Look
I
at
am Hagatha old, and I'm okay with it.
Totally lying.
Agatha.
No, I am.
Thanks a lot, by the way. Thanks
How
a
are
lot.
you?
You're old. I'm the oldest here. I guarantee it.
How old are you? 45.
I'm 47.
Nice.
What the fuck?
I would not have thought that.
Neither
You
here.
sound like you're in
No?
your 30s, to be honest,
Well, thanks.
because you got that radio voice. Yeah, I'm definitely an older.
Don't get me started on that. I got so bugged after last week. My whole
I've
alliance
heard.
was like, change your name to Sexy Voice. Like, come on, you gotta do it. It's like, oh my
I'm just
God.
saying, you're in my dreams too, buddy.
Oh,
Can't get you out. That voice.
Yeah. Okay. CQ Bang Gaming. Yeah, he already said 1, 5, and 36. I think that was a double question. Tits of Fury, which is a hilarious name, by the way. I don't know who you are, but I love it. You got me. Will you gather questions for the next stream beforehand? Absolutely. So what I want to do is you guys can send me questions in Discord. You can actually post your questions for the next stream on the comments of this. After this is posted, you can come in here, post your questions. Or they promote these pages or promote these streams on the State of Survival Facebook. So you can actually put questions there. Just put them wherever you want. I'm going to check all of those spots and gather the questions and sit them in the list. And you guys will get the first answers. And then we'll go from stream viewers into the questions. So if you have any questions that you want to go ahead and prepare and bring in, that would actually be excellent, because then we can actually give you a really well thought out answer. Because I'll let these guys and our guests kind of see the questions. So that would be perfect if you want to get any of those into me before. And then the last question, let me do a refresh real quick. The last one was, how old are we? Which I see that me and Silver are the only one that answered. So we must be the oldest.
I said it. I'm 31.
You're only 31?
You're 31?
What?
I used to look younger than my age. So
I bet
thanks
you
for being
Daedric's like
surprised.
20 something. I see the smirk on his face. He's like,
It's all that
super young.
wine you drink, Scorn. It's like you look like you look like you're 20.
Preservatives right there.
I really look younger.
You look younger because of all the wine. I just drink whiskey. So I look like I'm 97, actually.
You got hair in your chest. I'll be there one day.
Yeah, I do too. Who else wants to give me their name, their age? I want to know Daedric's.
Nope.
Nope. Delete.
I'm turning 40 this year. I'm excited.
Oh,
I
you're
guess
younger
that.
too.
I thought you're like 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good
He's
though. So
lying.
we're not quite so old, Silver. I mean, we are old, but not.
Yeah, you guys are all. I mean, nah, it's good.
I'm young at heart, though. I can drink just about anybody under the table. I'll tell you that. Years in practice, I guess, but
We'll have
Except for
to do.
Scorn.
We'll have to do like a Saturday night live stream, drinking and games. Like a. I'm serious. We used to do that with RSG and other things. We would do it like a drinking where we play different games, or we'll do Mad Libs and all kinds of fun stuff. So we'll have like just a fun stream one night.
That's
That
yes,
sounds
it's 8
ugly.
hours. There you go.
yeah, right.
8
All
hour
the
stream.
Canadians gone
Now
wild.
signing
Everybody
off.
just come back and
4 in the
forth
morning.
after taking a nap.
Yeah, right. Paul King said, "How old is DA?" He's not going to tell us. I think he's keeping that a secret. Maybe we'll get one of us. Maybe we'll get Pokemon to tell us. Alejandro Garcia Mattis, Scorn, heart, $20. What? Wait a minute. Is that
$20.
Yeah, super
That's a
chat.
lot of wine.
Thank you
He is
so
like the
much.
best
Nice.
member ever.
Is he?
He always participates. He doesn't complain. He's always willing to chat and talk it up
Aw.
with people. And he's always like, let me fill out these rallies with troops. Like, oh, cool. We got
Aw.
a team player.
And he's super supportive of you. That's awesome. Well, I love you too then, man. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. All right, I think
Okay,
that's
guys,
all.
I got a jet.
Yep,
I
I
gotta
was
go
about
home.
to say that's all the questions. We're wrapping up now. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to wrap it up. Please get your questions in for the next stream. We're going to do a whole Q&A. Anybody want to say anything before we wrap it up? Nope, you guys are good.
Thanks
We're
for
going to
watching.
sign off. We'll be back here Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Please join RSG Discord for any information and notices about all the things that RSG is streaming on right now. Thank you for joining. We appreciate it, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.